Hey, this is Brandon with the RPG Overviews, and I have a free download for you today. It is a game that probably nobody knows about. It's called Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game. Of course, that's a joke, as this game is well known by the role-playing game community, especially in the OSR. Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game is a great game. And this is the 4th edition of it. So I'll have a link down in the description for the free PDF. I believe all the PDFs have always been free. This is the 4th edition, but you are not going to find anything drastically different about it. I have been asked why I haven't done a video about it on my normal RPG overviews, and it's simply because there's tons of videos out there about it. I don't feel like I really need to tell anybody about it. I can do it here in this video. It's a fantastic game. It's one I would tell you to get if you're new to role-playing games. It is a great OSR game with ascending armor class, which helps a lot of new players. And this is the 4th edition. So it says that it's now created under the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 4.0 International License. So it does no longer have the OGL. And that's pretty much the extent of what this edition's all about. It's a very cheap game to get also in print. I got one of the earlier editions on Amazon. I got several of the books, pretty much all of like the core books, several of the adventures, pretty much everything that was put out for it for extremely cheap. I believe that sold at cost. It's a fantastic game. It is a little, it's a game that you either can kind of go all the way into. There's a lot of optional stuff for it as well. Or you can just kind of play it straight with this one book and have a lot of fun with it. Now, one thing I will say about this, the monster section in this book is fantastic. Huge, tons of monsters. And this is a game where you can just grab it and get information you need for any other OSR game. Should you not have that rule accessible to you, or you want to grab a monster, and it's very easy to switch that monster, those stats out for whatever edition of D&D you're really playing. So Basic Fantasy Role-Playing Game is a juggernaut for a lot of people, and it's all you really need. All the people involved in making it. I'm just going to kind of scroll through. This might be a little bit of a longer RPG freebies here, but you should definitely get it. I mean, it should be in everybody's, at least in PDF, have it in your tablet, your computer, whatever the case may be, your phone. And this is pretty standard. Some of the art, there's a lot of art in it. It's from a variety of different artists. Some of it works, some of it is not so great. It doesn't, there's not a whole bunch of cohesion, but it definitely has a cohesion when it comes to the OSR look to it, with a bunch of black and white art, different artists, and you'll like some and you won't like some. So I think people expected this not to be, maybe it's a new edition and they had scrapped all of D&D's type of terminology, and that's not the case. It simply is using that Creative Commons license now. So we've got Cleric Fighter, we've got Magic User Thief. Their thief abilities based off percentile checks here, as you can see. I still prefer 2nd edition, where you get to add points here and there to raise it up. But like your Open Locks is 25, your Remove Traps is 20 at 1st level, Move Silently is 25. It's going to be pretty tough to do some stuff. Your Hide's only 10. So challenging at the early levels, and that's how it's going to be for a lot of stuff. Oh, I guess I need to show you this. Your cleric does not get a spell at 1st level, just for those that don't know it. Maybe your game master will be a little bit lenient with you, give you some scrolls or something, or give you a spell if that's a problem for you. But I would say to play it straight up. So there's your equipment, there's your weapons. This is very easy to understand. There's no real flash to it. It's like the name, it is about as basic as can be. Not meaning that it's a lighter game. It's just very to the point, great rules. So there's a little bit of a different art style. I don't remember seeing this piece before. Some people may not like that type of art style, but it's got a variety of them, that's for sure. Here's a bunch of different spells, pretty easy to understand. I'm just going to be trucking through it, and I want to hit the monster section. That's when we're really going to be impressed. I think it's just got an incredible amount of monsters. There's some different art. Some of this art I've not seen from the edition that I've had before. Here's a great section here on everything you need for mapping, lights, doors, traps, dungeon survival, secret doors, wilderness adventures. I mean, it's really good. It's a great game. I highly recommend it to anybody. Here's everything about combat, the attack bonus table. You get certain attack bonuses based off your level, with what class you are. Since it is using a ascending armor class, which is going to be helpful to a lot of new players. So it's a good game to get people into, and then maybe once they find kind of their feel for what type OSR game they get, maybe they go to something else, or they enjoy this and keep playing it. So here's the monster section, and I'm just going to start scrolling and look at this thing. It is huge. And it's, again, some interesting art. Some of it I like, some of it I don't care for. But overall, it's great. We're still in the C's right here. So for a free product to give you stats for monsters that you can use really with this game and many other OSR games, it provides you with a ton of content. And this is not all they've got. They've got adventures. They've got some kind of splat book like things. I think there's an equipment book. I'm not 100% sure. And you know, people say, well, why did you stop playing this or something? I wanted to play games that were a little bit trying to do something of their own, maybe. I know that this is obviously pretty easy to play, but something, it didn't have to be something more complex, but something that just had a little bit of its own unique flavor to it. Because I found the flavor of this, granted, to be much like the name, basic. But look at this, we're only in the H's, so I'm just going to keep rocking this. I mean, good night, look at this guy. Yeah, you don't want that on your back. You might want to get that thing lanced. That thing's rough. Living statue, we're in the L's, lizard men, lycanthropes. Some good art. There's some good art in here. There's no doubt about that. I think everybody can probably find a piece or two that they like. Maybe some they don't, but we're in the S's, shadows, sharks, snakes, spiders. And a lot of games that are free that try to do this, they may not be giving you as many pieces of art as this does. Here we're in Wraiths, Wyverns. Here's a whole section on treasure. You can roll up your treasure tables there, magical items, potions, and whatnot, everything you need. And then, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, this is great. Here's a great Wandering Monsters GM information section here, telling you about different NPC, you know, creating an NPC party, or here, towns, cities, and villages encounters. So it's got that extra stuff on the back end. Dealing with players, that's good. I mean, you know, this is a thing that you didn't maybe think that was going to be there. There's optional rules, which I would tell you to look into because they're very good. Here's where it talks about you're going to be able to improve your percentiles by level. Can you give you that second edition D&D thief abilities so that you can allocate stuff to your own? It's not in the basic rules, but at least it's in the options. And then you got magical research, creating a dungeon adventure, designing a wilderness adventure, strongholds, and then your index, and then it tells you all the other stuff they've got. Morgan's Fort, the Chaotic Caves, Tales from the Laughing Dragon. I had all three of those. I didn't have the rest of these. Black Apple Berg, the Adventure Anthology series, and then there's some other stuff as well. So there it is, Basic Fantasy, a fantastic pickup. The 4th edition's out. It's nothing drastically new other than being in that Creative Commons license to get away from that pesky old OGL. So there it is, Basic Fantasy. Pick this up free on drivethrurpg. If you want to buy it, I always bought it on Amazon because it was very cheap. So thanks a lot.